Good. Are you putting on cards?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I definitely have to get. I want to get a button, maybe a can of Madden or something.
Oh, now I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, I like, okay.
Because magnets are always good because it's so funny. It's funny people that leave things like that on their refrigerators for so long, and I mean, like I've seen some that are just faded and whatnot, and then they'll spark interest to call something or do something or whatever, and then buttons are always good for like just like bad stuff. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I like that.
Because I'm gonna create a whole series of it.
I love it. Oh yeah.
Scratching for gold.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Scratching for gold, I can't take that.
Priceless. Absolutely priceless. So now you had applied, already, Matt?
I did.
Okay. When are they going to hear back on his?
You're on the April.
Okay.
April agenda, April 10th.
Okay.
Because I remember I had to correct your 1 T to 2 Ts
Okay.
on the memo.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything after they had me do the submit the background check thing. I hadn't heard anything, so I just figured you knew.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'll just keep showing up.
I'll sign, so.
I'm on this April agenda, or does it have to be the main?
The April,
Yeah.
CRA
Not
board
my,
agenda.
CRA board.
Not
So
my
the
board
CRA board has to bless everybody that
I was in the
applies.
choir.
And then you're
Maybe
official,
that.
so as of April 10th, you'll be
Yeah.
official.
It's on stage.
Here or the main CRA?
The CAC,
Oh.
yeah, the CRA board approves all CAC members.
Do I have to go to that? Okay.
David!
Get out!
3:35!
Get out!
Earlier than I'm usually later.
I can't take
I
it.
called this early.
Yeah,
Oh my God, let's
So
get
we can
it
start.
rolling, Mug.
Because we're gonna be done
Honey.
we're gonna be done by 4.
Baby.
All right.
Alrighty. So, is the recording now?
Yes.
Okay. So we will call the Central Park CAC meetings order now. Do a roll call. Thomas Murphy.
I've met this happen. I figured I was last. So I guess, but I'm here.
First one.
David Oz.
Take right.
Perfect. Recording.
Gordon?
So do we have any public comment? Is there anybody online?
No.
Nobody's online, so there's no public comment. All right, action items. We can approve last month's minutes for February.
Who?
Motion to approve by David. Is there a second?
Second.
Kate got the second. We have all in favor, yay? Yay? We're still reading?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that's unanimous. We passed those. We'll move on to, do we have any presentations?
We do not. The only thing I did put into your packet, we move on down to the CRA manager. I went ahead and put the packet, or in the packet, the Central Park Community Redevelopment Plan update that you all had participated in with Professor Green through that community outreach process that updates FCRP. And so Professor Green presented the results at the March meeting, to the March CRA board, at the March CRA board meeting. So this is just a presentation. Obviously the actual CRP plan is longer, but this was just a condensed version of kind of highlights of what the CRP update was about. So I just went ahead and put that in your proposed lot 12. There's a picture of lot 12.
There it is.
So here, I just gave that to you for reference. So Professor Green presented it just for them to get a flavor of what it was about. And then we'll be asking the CRA board in April 10th for an actual approval of adoption. And then it has to go to the planning commission to make sure it's approved by them. Then it goes to city council for approval, and then it's approved.
Isn't that kind of like a reiterating, if it's already getting approved by the CRA board and then getting approved by city council?
Yeah, that's how it goes. Some things happen at city council and it gets approved there, and then it goes to the CRA board, who are the same people.
Yeah.
And then they approve it there,
But there's a step in between. You said it has to go to planning.
planning commission.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so the planning commission reviews it as well to make sure it's in compliance. And so once they approve it, then it goes to city council, and then it's done, it's blessed, it's the official new CRP.
Okay.
So.
In the photos, and I think Trent supplied us, There's a page here. It has the old Encore schematic in the upper left-hand corner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and right below that, it says Lot 5 proposal. That's our lot number 5, which corresponds to the picture just above it. But that building is actually the one that's under construction.
Lot 12.
No,
That's actually
that-
Lot 12.
No, so lot 5, we have lot 5 and 12.
Right.
Lot 5 is the laydown lot where, and then that picture, the actual picture of lot 12 is the one above it. And that's like over.
What I'm saying is, here, you're, in this, they've got your building that's going up on lot 12, they say it's lot 5.
That actually is a rendering of what the old lot 5 was supposed to look like. They have the lot 12 right on this page.
Okay.
Yeah, because I
So,
think
because lot.
it's two buildings.
We got far enough where we got renderings and stuff.
Yeah,
is that part. So I think, see how there's nothing there? I think
Right.
that's this right here, and that's not gonna be there, right?
Yeah, we had gotten renderings, we got far enough in
Yeah.
renderings on 5 that they started putting some together, but that one's kind of on hold.
So there's nothing, that's what was gonna be there at one point, proposal.
At
it
one
kind of
point.
resembles lot.
Got
It is
It
very
does. It looks very similar.
Same architect.
And so that's just a whole
Yeah,
thing.
we use the same.
Yeah, we can't do anything now because it's the laydown lot too for lot 12.
Makes sense.
And that has to be, David, correct me if I'm wrong, but that one has to be designated for a for sale product. So I think at the time of that one going up, it was a little harder to pencil at the time that we were doing it.
Okay.
But hopefully by the time lot 12 is done, condos may make this for price again.
Yeah. And then 13 is still kind of TBD too, right? There's nothing that's proposed for that, right by the water chiller.
Do you, lot 10, we're, moving forward with that, development on lot 10, but I don't know, I don't have any current information on lot 13.
I haven't heard anything either. I think lot 10 is using it as their laydown for
Okay.
parking and stuff right now.
Uh-huh.
But I hadn't heard, I know they're trying to build, I forget, I think it's the same guy, it's the Mill Creek guy.
10 is 10.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's the
Lorenzo
same
Reed
one.
can answer that question for us, but
Okay.
I would be the source.
Yeah, I heard they're trying to do something over there, but it's a small spot.
Yeah, I feel like they kind of, was that always part of this, or did they add that in at the end? I feel like that was just something that got brought up in the past like year. Like,
Yeah.
oh, we're gonna know that
Yeah, I would
too.
say and lot 13 is actually kind of a wraparound.
Yeah,
Part of it's on Cass and part of it's on Nebraska
Mhm.
and wraps around the chiller. Yeah, it's much more recent than the basic plan of Encore is. I mean, it's always sat there, and I think we were really trying to figure out what would complement the development, and then I think, a year, maybe 2 years ago,
yeah,
we actually started talking to somebody.
but it can only be, what, 3 stories or something that's delivered that?
Yeah.
Because of the way that it's, the turn, that's a sharp turn.
Right, but part of it's in the downtown. Yeah, I would not be the,
Gotcha.
Yeah, I would be curious about that, because I don't know if it's any incredible, but I heard they were, because it was so small, they were trying to actually go pretty tall with it.
Pretty tall?
That's what I had
Mm,
possibly heard, but I don't know if what you're saying is true, then maybe that's not the case.
Yeah. Because like that's a tough turn as it is with nothing there to kind of look around as well.
but architects can do wonderful things.
Oh, trust me, do I ever know? I see it all the time. So who's
It's a
got,
piece of dirt not to go as tall as possible.
whose lot is lot 8?
Yeah, I know that answer to that.
I don't,
I'm gonna finish my coffee and see if I can rummage up those, the ones in the back, those cells in the back that are dormant right now.
Okay.
If I can wake them up.
yeah.
Lot 8's one that I think they just parked. 10 is the other guys from Miami,
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
10 is,
Oh.
10 is the hotel and apartment building together.
Yeah.
That's 10.
And then you guys have 5 and 12.
Mhm.
So yeah, 8 is, I'm like, that's curious.
8's that Mill, whatever, I don't know who it is, but
Yeah, I
Mill
don't know.
Creek's the one doing it.
Okay.
Oh, Mill Creek is.
That's what it says on the sign. That's all I know.
If you send me an email, I can identify all of those before the next meeting.
Well, did the guy, is Lorenzo?
Yes,
Did he-
There's a couple, there's 2 Lorenzo's, right?
Lorenzo Reed,
Yeah, and there's another Lorenzo too, right?
not in our real estate group.
Okay, he was just giving us commercial
Yep.
information.
That one?
We didn't have that in your report, did we, like, to the CRA board? I
About,
think it was just commercial vacant.
I was just pointing out the commercial vacancies on
Yeah.
there. And did you guys receive any, bids for the theater space down there in the past?
No, we end up showing it about once a year, but we really haven't found somebody that's a match yet.
Yeah, was there any like thing you can share as to why that didn't work? Because it's such a niche request. And so when we do my update,
The people that, without getting into any
Yeah.
details,
of course,
the consortium that put themselves together to perform that, it just didn't work right. So,
but it was it's been multiple.
right, but the one that we looked at most seriously last year in
Mhm.
2024,
Mm-hmm.
all the members of the consortium had great resumes, but they had never worked together as an
Agreed.
organization. So, and there were some other reasons, during the financial analysis that we do, because we're actually gonna have a lot of skin in the game, well, we already do, but
Yeah.
what we generally do, every deal is different, but like, for instance, on specialty, things like that, we'll actually participate with the people that are gonna be the first tenants.
Mm-hmm.
We'll participate with the build out and those kinds of things. We'll financially
Incentivize.
participate with the
Mhm.
build out. And then we don't immediately require them to pay the full rental, we kind
Sure.
of step it up. So for us to have that much in the game, we wanna be as certain as we could be that it looks like it's got about a 90% chance of being a success. So, anyway, so that last group that we really looked at real hard, we just didn't think it met all the hurdles that we would like to have had them meet.
Yeah, the other reason I asked this is when I did my update, that was the question that had come up, because I had shown them the commercial space that's still been vacant for all these years.
Right.
And that was a question that had come up, why that hasn't been filled, and I said, because it's a very niche space, my understanding, and then someone had brought up, well, there's been at least 5 bids for that, why hasn't, I'm like, well, that's you, that ain't me, you know what I mean? And so, and they'd asked to me, also, how are you guys marketing that space for being vacant as long as it has been? So just,
We have it with some commercial realtors,
Mhm.
and I don't know who they are.
yeah, I know,
I'm kind of away from that project now.
yeah,
So, and of course, we have no overhead or carrying costs in it, so
Right.
we don't have to rush in and have,
right,
we would rather wait and get what we feel is a perfect match than to go off half-cocked and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, 2 years later, realize, ooh, this isn't working.
it just, I think it was just tough because of all the new development like these guys are building and stuff, so now we're bringing in so many new commercial spaces that are gonna be filled because they're brand new buildings. And then we still kind of have our old, dying cat here that's still needing to get something done. So what's gonna incentivize somebody to go in that space before a brand new building?
Well, I think part of it is our goal has always been to have some sort of a performance theater group
Yeah.
there. And if we're gonna do that, we want it to be good because we think that'll be a draw for the entire community,
Right.
for Gasworks, for everybody, to have that type of a retail space as opposed to a drugstore, barbershop,
Yeah.
pizza place. In other words, we want it to be somewhat unique.
Is,
And we just found the right
the,
mojo sauce yet.
is Head Start still in there?
Yeah.
Okay. Last question.
I feel like it's a time warp, because I came out of Epic College wanting to start someplace like that. Even had a proposal for it and everything, but that was some time ago.
That just could have been 2 or 3 years.
So that
Oh, you're
that
right.
stays in our plan, basically, right? That has to be a theater.
Good afternoon, this is the CAC meeting.
Yes,
Wonderful. Is it also the Robert's Rules of Order meeting?
yeah,
Yes?
well, oh, not Robert Rules of.
No? Am I not invited or as the public?
You can, yeah, as the public.
Yes?
Yeah,
Okay,
uh-huh.
wonderful. My name is Miguel
Miguel.
Gonzalez. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, sorry, we practiced Robert's Rules of Order, but it's not a Robert's Rules of Order meeting.
And I'm only going by what Dr. Jeffrey Johnson had put out in the memo last meeting. last month, and that's what I thought this was. I had it in my calendar as
Okay.
the CAC board was actually going to be reviewing, the process of actual conducting board meetings. And as a board member with a different board, I thought it would be a good time to refresh my skills, but apparently I'm in some sort of architectural type of.
Who's Jeffrey Johnson?
He's the chair for the CAC.
For the Central Park CAC?
This is Central Park.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's why I'm totally East Tampa.
Oh, East Tampa.
Tampa CAC.
That's okay.
That's why I'm looking like I'm
That's
really
okay.
confused because I recognize
You
anybody
might
from
be
the
in the
board.
right place.
Yeah, I mean, it was on the flyer.
Yeah, well, East Tampa's not tonight though. West Tampa was last night, Drew Park was tonight.
Okay,
So East Tampa, I don't have the date, so maybe.
go figure.
Maybe,
That's,
maybe the date was put in there incorrectly.
now I feel like a complete fool.
Oh, please, you're more than
Well,
welcome.
at least I'm dressed appropriately.
Yeah, right? Because they
I
meet,
like the hat.
they
Thank
meet,
you, sir.
they meet at the police station?
No, where is East Tampa? Oh, gosh,
I don't know, that's Cedric McCray
Yes, Cedric McCray is,
is the manager
Right.
over the East
Correct.
Tampa
Yes.
CAC. And I'm not recalling when and where those are.
that's okay. I'm just gonna excuse myself and say,
Oh,
pardon me.
why don't you give me your
Yeah.
email?
I will
And
do
then
that.
she can help you
Or
get
you want
your,
better.
or a business card.
Yeah,
Yes.
You're always welcome, this is Central Park.
Central Park is, I'm from Ybor City. I'm
Okay.
born and raised in Tampa, so,
Well,
I'm,
there's an Ybor CRA as well.
I know, I'm gonna try to be attending all of them.
Oh, that's
okay.
great.
So I wanna stick my foot in everybody's, little meetings and see what we're doing for Tampa. So
Okay.
you still live in Ybor?
I live in West Tampa,
Oh, okay.
but I participate in most of the things I do
Yeah.
in Ybor. I go to church in Ybor, I used to run the Cuban Club in Ybor, I was
That's
born
great.
at the Vicente Martinez house there, the Vicente
Yes.
Hotel.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes,
Tell us
so-
what year you were born there?
I don't mind at all, I was born in 1962.
Oh, youngster.
Yeah, I'm one of the last Mohicans though, from born in Ybor.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
That's fantastic.
And you're certainly welcome to stay.
Well, thank you. Are we discussing, potential future projects? Is that what I'm assuming? I'm
Yeah,
just stumbling out?
kind of not, really not. We're talking about the community redevelopment plan that we're updating.
Yes,
So we were talking about developments.
and mostly architectural type of thing. So, I thank you very much for the invitation.
Yeah.
And forgive me for intruding your meeting.
No,
You did it.
And we'll see you at the next one.
there we go.
Okay.
Sounds awesome.
And
Okay,
I
let's
will
do
get
that.
you the information you need.
Thank you, Miguel Gonzalez.
Miguel David Hollis, and I'm so glad that you like to be interested in your community.
Absolutely. I'm third generation. My grandfather pioneered Cuban bread in Ybor City.
Wow.
He sold his property to the sheriff's station in Ybor City.
Very cool.
Then moved
Oh,
over to
wow.
the industrial annex. I have grandsons that play the same Little League park that I'm on the board of directors at.
Oh, cool.
So it means a lot to
Love
me. The history, the heritage,
Yeah.
the whole story means a lot to me. So thank you all for doing what you can to preserve it. Okay?
Absolutely.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Thank you.
Nice to
afternoon.
meet you.
Thanks. Can check on.
I'll check, I will ping David to tell us what's going on the various lots, like lot 8, that we're
Right.
not sure about.
Lot 13, be sure to include lot 13.
Mhm.
Okay, so I will,
And Lorenzo's out today and tomorrow, but I should be able to respond before the weekend or first part next week.
okay, so I
For
will,
sure before our next.
all right. I will email you, and then we finish with talking about the theater, how you're waiting for the person.
I was asking on that, like I know before it had to be a theater. Is it still, it has to be a theater? Or is there any kind of like gray area? I don't even know what that gray area would be, if it would be like a jazz bar or something like that. If it just has to be a performance space, just because I think it's
I
tough.
think it has to be, what it has to be is it has to be something Leroy likes. is what it has to be.
Okay,
But what it has to be is something unique,
yeah,
something that there isn't another one of within a couple of miles.
Which there is down there at Stageworks, that's what's so
Well,
crazy.
we've actually already talked Stageworks and they're not interested.
No, I understand it, but there is something like that, so
Right.
close, that's why I think it's,
So, well, yeah, close in miles, but not really
I
close.
understand.
In other words, it's not a convenient walk, let's say.
okay,
So it would have to be something, if somebody brought a proposal to us, we would certainly look at it if it was at least in that, general genre maybe. is the right way to say it.
entertainment,
Yeah, something, a classy kind of entertainment thing. And when I say classy, I don't necessarily mean Tux classy, but just something that's
yeah,
unique and positive and, a thing that people might choose to go to on a Saturday night to go out.
Yep.
That they would go to, hey, let's go to that place.
yeah.
That's
I
what we're looking to put in there.
Yeah, I just think it's, like I said, it's gonna be tough with all these new constructions.
Yeah.
They're gonna look at that and say, this is a brand new space we can go to,
Right.
that one, so.
But like I said, we don't have any carrying costs in it, so we can
Yeah.
sit on, we don't intend to sit on it 1 second longer than we have to.
Yeah,
But we don't want to put something in there that is every 4 blocks, you bump into it again. So,
yeah,
so
yeah,
anyway, that's why we think, like, for instance, one of the Johnson Brothers houses, our goal is to be like a locally owned and operated coffee house, but not a national chain coffee house.
sure,
So, and then maybe a memorabilia place.
right. Like, I said, that was just a question that was asked of me there that I was like, that's not my department.
Where was there?
The CRA update, when I went
Oh.
before the CRA, the shop, they tell me what's going on. And a lot of times I just want to take pictures because I feel like some of them might not have been down here recently.
I
So-
think you could continue to say, their plans have
Oh, no, I
not
should go
changed,
with that.
particularly,
You guys,
the
so,
theater,
Yeah.
performance theater.
yeah,
Because I'll just mention Chair Anderson at the CRA board meeting when Thomas was providing the Central Park update.
Oh,
Yeah, so last Thursday morning, Thomas provided the Central Park update and just, random questions come out and that's one of them. They were like, well, how are those spaces, or no, actually, would we as a CAC have a strategy for doing retail recruitment to the vacant spaces? And really, we don't participate in that aspect. And
it's kind of
so,
a really unique, what we want to put there is kind of unique. And so it's not like you're gonna get people banging on your door, like, oh, pick us kind of thing. We wanted to enhance the entire community, all of our wonderful buildings there, our partnerships in wonderful buildings. In other words, we want to, do something that, like I said, it would be a Saturday night destination kind of
Yeah.
place.
well, and then she also asked, the city, the properties that the city purchased where the Johnson Brothers homes are and one, city didn't purchase, and so I think there was some confusion there.
Right.
But she seemed like very, adamant about getting updates.
disappointed that I didn't have an update on what's going on with those houses.
Because the city purchased the property. So anyway, we didn't obviously correct
Yeah.
anything at the,
That's why I was like, maybe if you can kind of update them a little bit.
No, real quick update on that would be the same thing. In other words, we own
That's
that
right.
strip, Johnson Brothers house.
She did a good job, man. That's
Yeah.
the update is there's no update.
yeah, and then
Yeah,
you just
that's what
say
you.
replica style homes built along
Yeah, period.
Scott Street. So
Okay, good.
Thomas tried to provide an
I was like,
update.
oh
That's-
god.
But
Did
We
you
don't,
need-
we don't want people to think it's gonna be a row of shotgun houses. It's just gonna be period,
Correct.
that period of houses. But the 2 Johnson Brothers houses will be twins because they were twins.
Right.
So they're gonna be redone, just like we did the St. James Episcopal Church. From the outside,
Mhm.
those houses will look like brand new
Yeah,
houses that were built when they were originally built. And then all the other lots will be different looking facades, but of the same time period.
Okay,
And those will be, right now, the plan is that those will all be for home ownership. But we decided not to sell the Johnson Brothers houses, so they can't be changed. So we can preserve that piece of history.
so hopefully Cedric immediately, the CRA director Cedric immediately texted Leroy after Henderson's comments. So I don't know if he was inviting him to come to a CRA board meeting to just do a general Encore THA owner development,
Right.
strategies and progress on the Johnson Brothers homes and other things. So I don't know where that ended, that conversation, but she seemed, and I don't even know if she made a motion, but it was something, it was pretty directive, like, I want updates on this stuff.
Mhm.
So I don't know if Leroy is gonna, if you're the appropriate person or who, but Leroy received a text and then I don't know where it ended at this point.
Well, in that case, I'll wait for Leroy to direct that action.
I just wanted to give you a heads up on that.
Last time I looked at that, on that word chart, he was way up the page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Well, Cedric mentioned that there was an email that came back from a lady, I believe. So I don't know if there's another person that he's already directed the task.
That might be Rose Lugo,
Okay.
who is our, not so new, she's been there a couple years now. She's our community relations
Okay.
officer.
Probably who.
So that, and Leroy might have said, hey, here you go, Rose, figured you're gonna do this.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know, but that would be my off the cuff guess.
Okay.
So,
Well, then you just go ahead and sit in the wings, but don't be surprised.
okay, I'm ready, coach, play me, okay?
If you might be told that, I don't know, because she wanted specifically Johnson Brothers, but generally, I think is what's
Well,
going
I'm
on.
good on the Johnson Brothers, and that I'm pretty sure of, so, because that's underway right now.
Yeah,
Kind of like the Bell and
Yeah.
those not leftover, but those trailing pieces of, community improvement stuff that we're working on. The only thing I can't speak to specifically when I said that whole street is gonna be period-like housing. The very corner where my construction trailer sat for 4 years,
Mhm.
right there, that gravel corner of Nebraska and Scott,
mhm,
that we're still throwing around, what's the highest and best use of that corner lot,
mhm.
So that, but starting with the Johnson Brothers houses, going, what
West.
direction is that, west? Yeah, that's pretty much always been period-like homes, for ownership purposes.
Where's parking going to be for the Johnson Brothers if something is on the corner lot?
That's a good question.
Okay.
Well, we've actually even looked at, and this is a possibility, so I really wouldn't want this to appear in a report anywhere, but we've actually looked at carving out some parking on the ground floor of the new parking garage.
Mhm.
That's probably our last thing on the list, but that would be a possibility. So, because this is a senior building, and when you build the code, one and a quarter parking spots per unit, and
Mhm.
there's probably, so we have 3 floors of parking, and we probably have, 35 to 40 seniors with cars.
Well, and
So
also
we
the
have some great skateboarding up there.
house is so small, but I'm sure your max occupancy is gonna be, what, 30 people? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it'll be a real boutique thing.
Yeah.
Right, and what we're looking, and we're looking at some options right now, and that is, putting an alleyway in the back,
Mhm.
and then park off of the alleyway, like a little carport kind of thing
Sure.
behind the buildings. Because the Johnson Brothers houses are very close to Scott.
Yeah.
There's a lot of backyard, so to
Mhm.
speak. So, there's already an old unplatted vacated easement back there, but it actually belongs to, I think it's the Mount Moriah Church, maybe? I forget which church, but one of those two.
Mhm.
Actually, the bricks are still about 4 to 6 inches under
It's crazy.
the dirt.
Oh,
It's
wow.
really cool, you can actually dig up the old brick, really big brick alleyway. So we're looking at, like, we could put an alleyway in there. If there's a possibility Mount Moriah might want to sell their easement to us. So that's really what we're looking at, is easement, alleyway, parking behind the buildings. That's our primary goal, because, there's nothing on Scott Street.
Yeah.
Somebody brought me a poem and said, I want to thank from 1800, from digging up the yard and stuff.
We had a couple of those from when Teddy Roosevelt was getting ready to go down to, on the other side, like outward lot, 10 is, and they did that, and you think that the district guys did
I
that
didn't just
on that piece of the
kind
property.
of covered it
Because
all
we had
together.
Mhm.
Because I wanted you to get a. just drop
where they are now, but I've seen them.
CRA, yeah.
CRA.
Yep. Yep.
We're done with that.
Okay. Do you have any update or anything you wanted to share with us for what you guys are doing,
If
or?
you guys have any questions that I can answer, I'm more than happy to finish tracking well, same
Yeah.
as last week. So I mean, I'm not sure like over the next, until it's done, until we get closer, what updates there may be.
Yeah.
But,
Everything's just right on track, though.
everything's just going well. We've rebounded from the hurricanes well, so small delays here and there, but nothing.
And when's your completion date estimated?
I mean, not this summer, but next summer.
And that's
We-
when everything will be open?
That's the goal, yeah, everything, because the way they'll receive CO is probably all at once, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so hopefully that's when everything opens at once. We'll start moving people in, the grocery store will open, same thing with medical office.
Well, medical office or grocery store have a pharmacy. I see they just put one in down here where the blue cross or whatever used to be. So is that gonna be the only one, or is there gonna be conflicting with where that's at?
I don't know how much I can or
Okay.
can't,
I understand.
but,
That's what I was just, like I said.
yeah, I'll ask it up.
So I was like, oh, I wondered if that was gonna kind of, if that was more of like a boutique, like if they were kind of shooing them out.
I said it's not the grocery store.
I didn't figure that's so small.
Yeah.
The medical, I just didn't know what was kind of under the umbrella of what that was gonna offer.
Yeah, but we actually have a meeting with the people that are going there tomorrow to build the space out, and we see if it's okay to share what information is going in,
Yeah.
what's going in there. Because I can talk about it next week, or
Yeah.
next month.
Okay, all right, perfect. You have any questions?
One for those of you that haven't seen it, it's an awesome building.
Yeah, it was nice. And then, okay, perfect. Any questions? Do you have any questions or any kind of feedback or anything on how you've been doing thus far? Or?
Yeah, I went to the new member orientation last week. That
Yeah,
was,
last Monday.
Yeah.
got my big binder and been reading through it. A lot
Yeah,
of pages, a lot of legal stuff.
it is, yeah.
Right now, so.
Our new attorney gave the whole rundown of
Oh, yeah.
sunshine, how scared the crap out of everybody, probably.
It's good to know, though. But there's a lot of acronyms too. They start throwing around. You're like, what does that mean? And there's an acronym you know about something else. You're like, why are you talking about that? You're like, oh, that's completely different than what I was talking about.
Yeah, it's very similar to this.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Well then, for next month, like, is there anything that we want to bring up to have prepared for next month? Like, I think it'd be good if you guys could kind of let us know anything about what's going on in that old center, kind of just like
Yeah, we
overview.
see, yeah,
You know,
when
if you have an
that
update
goes
that you
public,
could do
yeah.
on that, and then Hollis, I don't know if it's worth having, I mean, you are well of knowledge on there, but I know that sometimes you don't have that, like you said with Leroy. Just, I'm curious about that job training center too, like why that's just kind of, I feel like, and I don't want to take this wrong, but I feel like everything on that end is just kind of stale. You know what I mean? Like there was so much going on with building that training center, and then it's just kind of like there. And there was so much going on with building that the commercial space, and it's just nothing's really happened. And the marketing for it, I don't feel like is really that great. And that's just from me looking around on there. So just if there was any way we could have an update on.
Actually, let me speak to the job training center real
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
As you all know, we built that.
Yeah.
We built it in partnership with the Hillsborough County School District.
Yep.
And they've got a lot of skin in that game.
Yep.
They did the FF&E part, furniture, fixtures, and equipment.
Okay.
And so we leased that to them on a long-term lease.
Okay.
And so it's really their building to operate.
Okay.
So sometimes they teach a couple of courses in there in CAD and CAM work and it's also, so I can tell you some parts of it with certified authority. It's used primarily for their adult education piece, not for kids. You have to be over 18 and you cannot be actively in school, high school.
Okay.
And so they partner with University of South Florida. There's a couple of professors that I've met. That's their gig, is this CAD CAM course. It's taught twice a year. It's about a 12-week course. It has 20 seats available. They get Pell Grants for the young adults, and it's pretty much a sellout. They also do some work there through the school district. I've met the two ladies. I forgot their names. And they actually work for the school district, but their job is to work with at-risk students as far as the judiciary system is concerned. And they're working right now with about, I think, 18 kids right now, being as of about a week ago. And then they're also teaching a class in their English, the second language.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so, but it's, the building is busy. But what we would like to see doesn't much matter because they lease the building from us.
How long?
You know, they've got it on a 15-year lease. And we're about 5 years into the 15-year lease. And they have first right of refusal on rollover in the 15-year lease. As long as they abide by the lease, which they are doing. Just as a side note, we have a, and it would be great if this does not show up in any written format later, but we have a hard time understanding why the school district won't engage in evening classes. Because that's when a lot of adults have the ability to take classes because they're, you know, as far as a lot of our residents, you know, they're working where they work. You know, they can't take Tuesday and Thursday afternoon off to go to continuing education or education courses. And for whatever their reason, and I'm sure it's a wonderful, valid reason, but the school district doesn't have a plan for evening classes that we know about. We do try to chat with them regularly, but
Is there any?
Are there significant changes in, or requirements as far as security, insurance, or?
Not on insurance, but security. You know, years ago, before DOT started to do their work and stuff like that, there was a little of that area around there that was kind of occupied by temporary people from time to time.
Transient?
Yeah, but that hasn't been the case for a number of years now, and now, I forget the group, who's actually building apartment buildings now, literally right across 7th Avenue.
Right by GTE.
Right by GTE, they bought that land, that 2 acres of land from GTE, and they're already vertical, literally right across the street from the job training center. So if you go to that area on any night of the week at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, it's a quiet, little sleepy, little well-lit place. I mean, we've lit up, the parking lot is lit up like daytime, the building is lit up. So, you know, so if you did have that concern, you know, I would personally think, okay, you hire a security guard for 2 hours, 2 nights a week to walk around while class is in session from 6 to 9.
I was thinking they would be able to handle that part of it, because it's a normal thing of what they do, but it was how cost prohibitive insurance might be. I have no idea.
Well, their annual budget last year was $3.3 billion
For insurance.
No, for the school board's annual budget.
Okay, got it.
So anyway, it's not ours to critique, but it is leased on a long-term lease to the school
Would
district.
that be any interest of having some of the school board coming and speaking on what's going on there? Because I feel like we've just done so much to try to get the momentum going for all these buildings and all this stuff, and it's just like lots of wind, and then it's just, you know what I mean? And even trying to go and do my update for them, I said I walked around and I got all the photos of everything, and unfortunately, a lot of it was still the same.
Right.
You know what I mean? And there wasn't a lot that I could say, we're doing so much great stuff at this, you know, job training center, we're using it for its intended purposes. These are some great success stories. It's like, I don't really know what's going on there. You know what I mean? Like, no, the building's still empty. It's like, it's not a good
It's
look.
I mean, it's definitely not empty, and the school board
No,
uses
not that.
it.
I'm saying the commercial space too.
Right.
You know, so it's a lot of the stuff that's under that umbrella that's just still
Yeah,
nothing's
we would love to, we're not the school district, once again.
happening.
They're great partners, they lease it from us, but we just think that if you opened it up 2 nights a week for night classes, that it'd be an out-of-the-park home run.
It'd be great
You
to
know, there's
promote
a
that.
couple of thousand people that live across the street who would be likely to take a course in this or that or the other.
Use the
But,
space.
pardon me?
To use the space. haven't been used.
So, I mean, it's used and
That's to
we're
make
happy
people down.
about that, but
Yeah,
we would just,
Maybe there's a switch in thought. I mean, when you say skills training or job training, I think that reminds you of going to work to do something, but maybe crafts and life skills, something to be promoted.
and you're talking to the wrong person.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I totally,
Yeah.
Tampa Housing Authority totally agrees with you.
Yeah, I mean,
we would just
did-
point of contact with the school board, I
Even
would be able to give us an update on that, or tell us whatever source that they would be something that they could come to fruition on.
Well, Chris Farkas, who's the COO of the school district, but the person who directly reports to Chris Farkas is a guy named Scott Brooks, who I believe is the titular head of adult education
Okay.
for the school district. His name is Warren Brooks, but he goes by Scott, and I know him pretty well
Okay.
on a first name basis. So, you could always reach out to, I believe that he would be the appropriate person to reach out to
Okay,
for any official school district updates,
gotcha,
because I can't speak for the
Yeah.
school district.
understood.
But I think he's aware of the fact that, we would love them
Yeah.
to do something in the evenings.
Yeah,
So we're actually, and to help them out, to whatever degree it might help them out, we're actually conducting a survey through Encore. We have a lady that works for us she is the Uber case manager for all things Encore. And we're gonna try to go through Encore and query everybody who, would you be interested in taking night classes if they were available? And B, if you were interested in taking night classes if they're available, can you give us a list of 3 night classes that you'd be interested in? And then we're gonna compile all that data, and then once we get that data, which could be some number of months in the future, because we just started to do this,
yeah,
then we're actually gonna get that information to Scott. And maybe that's what they need to really go like, oh, okay, there's a great opportunity here.
yeah.
So,
It's just a shame that there's a lot of money spent on those buildings and a lot of time, and I get COVID, but COVID's over, you know what I mean? But everybody's moved on, so we gotta keep that moving too.
but like I said, they're a great partner. We've got no criticism of them at all. We're actually just on for ourselves, we would love to see that because we think a lot of Encore residents would make use of that if there were evening classes.
Yep.
So, those guys and gals that are working hard, like I said, they can't take 3 or 4 hours off on Tuesday and Thursday to attend some other class that we know. But they do some culinary arts work there. They do GED work there. They do English as a second language there. They do this CAD CAM course in conjunction with USF there. And they do a lot of work through there with their at-risk kids.
The CAC class too, I feel like everybody wants to learn about their,
Sure.
So,
Or we could
So
do
that,
it and have, teaching seniors how to use Facebook or Instagram or
Yeah.
something. How to answer, you know what I mean, how to do a FaceTime
hey,
call.
don't look at
I'm
me when
serious.
you talk
I
about
think it is
seniors.
good.
I'm saying, like,
Technology.
I would love for my mom to go someplace and be like, Mom, go sit there for half an hour, and they're gonna teach you how to do this, and stop answering your phone like this. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
technology, yeah.
I
Technology.
just see
Really great.
Yeah,
People don't really think.
everybody, yeah.
I know all about Facebook. Every once in a while, I get an email that says you can tag in a photo. I
Hilarious.
click on that and there it is.
That's too much.
And beware, if you change your status.
Yes,
Submit no post.
it's out there for everyone.
What happened to status?
Or, I mean, even
I
like,
changed my status to married and I got more congratulations than I was like, oh my God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
what were you gonna
I don't even know how to do
Or,
it.
like they have those anti-scam classes.
Oh,
Yeah,
I think that would be beneficial.
Big
That's a
time.
huge
Yeah.
thing.
yeah, I
Like,
mean,
I'll get texts every
yeah,
other day about, click this link.
you have
You
money
need to
for
pay
something.
your,
You need to hurry, you've been locked out of your
Pay your
it's
account.
like your package
UPS.
delivered late. Yep, UPS or like, Toll,
Now
I
it's
toll
brand
roads, right?
fabric.
Yeah,
It's like, people don't know.
they don't, and especially if you've got the older buildings here, you know what I'm saying? That might be something good, and that's walkable distance too, or even if they had a little shuttle that could take folks up there, if they weren't able to get up there on their own. So there's just so much that space can be used for us, and you know what I mean? That building and those commercial spaces that I just see restaurant owners and business owners that would love to be in those spaces, and it's like, why is it not done? You know what I mean? Well, you can cherry pick to a certain extent, but after a while, like I said, then there's gonna be a newer, prettier building coming in that they're gonna say, well, what the hell do we wanna be in there for? We got, this gorgeous new building to be in, so. Paul's gotta grow.
We just, the do's and don'ts of downsizing, don't throw that thing away.
Don't throw that away.
I might need that in 7 years.
Don't throw that away. Did you guys have any questions on anything when I did the board update on anything, or?
I don't think so.
Okay. Trent did a good job, the girls did a good job. I feel like it's so much information and it's so much kind of that they know that when they present it, it's not as conversational. It's like, and then we have, you know what I mean? And it's I don't want to say boring, because it's very interesting to me, but I can just kind of tell, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if we could maybe do another update, but really kind of get that engagement with them.
Yeah,
because
well,
sometimes-
that's why we did a presentation
Mhm.
in advance of asking for approval, because they were given the information, and then we're hoping that in the month timeframe before the next CRA board meeting,
Yeah.
they'll have that month to review.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good reminder to ask them too, on that, because it's very interesting, because we've heard so much about it, from you guys and from them, and we know that, but when you're kind of just consolidating it quickly, you gotta kind of hit the fun stuff, it's not the.
Yeah, and then we do have some board members that definitely dig in and read that material.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so we'll know,
Yeah,
because that's what I didn't know if we were inviting Trent back again in April. But we have one-on-one briefings with each of the CRA board meetings
Okay.
before every board meeting. So we can get an understanding, like, if we have any questions, and
Yeah.
then we'll know, does Trent need to be present to really engage in that conversation if there are
Yeah.
a lot of follow-up questions.
right,
So it was more of a presentation to prepare them to approve it and have discussion in April.
yeah, because looking at this is like kind of what they were going over, and it's like the most like, what, like carry it 4 times 9, like, what am I reading here?
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
so much.
Well, that's, yeah,
information.
so we hope in that month period between each board meeting, they're gonna review it more thoroughly, because they got
Yeah.
a full report.
Yeah,
That's the presentation.
this is just a lot of jargon, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's interesting stuff, but you gotta get through it quick, because you start reading this, you get about halfway down, and your interest is gone.
Yeah, because every presentation's only allowed 5 to 7
Yep.
minutes.
Yeah,
So they had to.
and they were getting dinged.
Yeah, so, well, they had to condense, yeah.
They were getting dinged
had to condense
already.
a lot of information into just the presentation
Mhm.
to the CRA board,
Yeah,
but then they got the full report to review before the April 10th meeting.
okay. Yeah. So that was one kind of my takeaways from there.
Real, on this spreadsheet, and maybe I'm not interpreting it correctly, that's a possibility. But for instance, under your project name, Encore right away, roads, above ground, below grade, blah, 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 year built 2008, that's not accurate. I mean, we did the development, of Encore, would have been
Let's say.
2010
Hmm.
is when we really started the
Which
infrastructure. I don't know that that's really important. I don't want to say probably really isn't really important,
There you go.
but if somebody was taking a test, we didn't actually even start. We relocated everybody out. Then we demolished everything. We kept for those of you that don't know, we kept most of the concrete from all of the old buildings, crushed it up. We had a big 2-story mountain of crushed concrete out here for a number of years. And we used most of that as road base.
Okay,
So we recycled a lot of the steel, we recycled a whole lot of the concrete.
that's great.
But we really didn't start infrastructure work till early 2010. So,
That's
yeah,
good that you reused all this stuff, because I was gonna ask you what you're gonna do with all the iron up rolls, all the gates and stuff.
yeah, we're actually gonna store that in your backyard.
I was gonna say, I got a neighbor that wants them. Yeah,
So,
there's already enough stored in that back
And
there.
just for clarity, let me back up just a little bit. for sincerity and clarity. We find the school district to be great partners. They are all about, doing the right thing.
Yep.
They are totally compliant with their lease.
Yep.
They are doing everything that they should be doing.
Yep.
The building is busy,
Busier than it was.
busier than it was.
Mhm.
And so, now if I were sitting down with Scott and we were having a cup of coffee, cafe con leche down there at the Flan Factory, we might talk about things that we would like to see and with, but they have their own constraints and their own management
Yeah.
team and those kind of things.
Absolutely.
So, we love the school district.
Sure.
We're partners with them on a lot of things.
Yep.
And they're doing everything that their lease asks of them.
Absolutely. That's what I said. I think
But-
you've spoken enough on what you can speak on. I think it's a good opportunity for them to come in and have us ask questions so that they can speak on it as well.
Well, you said you know the person that might be the appropriate person to come in and, are you saying invite them to a CAC
Yeah,
meeting? Just to
absolutely.
kind of just
Absolutely.
informally talk about things
Yeah.
going on.
I can put a call on him.
Yeah. I
And
think that'd be
who
really
says
good.
Scott?
Scott Brooks. His name is Warren Brooks, but he goes by Scott.
I like what you said.
And
I
he-
don't know the first name basis. What first name?
And he and Chris Farkas are childhood
That's
buddies.
awesome. That's great. Yeah, because they might even have more information that you don't know, I mean, they can
Oh,
share
yeah.
with us and stuff like that. So I think it's just always good to get somebody else in here that's able to speak on behalf of that, because I know with COVID, everything was kind of like ghost town, and that's great, but it's long gone now. And we're getting other stuff moving and grooving, so we gotta kind of chop on that too.
I can put a call on
I
him.
appreciate it. It's cool.
I don't know if I'll miss these. I don't know if I will miss any of these meetings, but I will be out of town from like the middle of April to like the middle of May.
Okay,
Okay, April 16th is our next one.
I'll make that.
okay,
I
that'd be
leave
great.
on April the 18th.
Okay.
At about 7:30 p.m.
Okay,
Okay.
appreciate that though.
I'll be on a long flight,
Well, thank you for making it for that one, I do appreciate it very much.
so.
All right, perfect.
I will send reminders to David. I've
Okay,
got my
do-
reminder
do
email.
Do that. I love reminders.
I
actually.
know,
Yeah.
I know.
If you go to my office, our admin always wonders why I go through so many of those little yellow sticky notes. Because they're like a lot of us, I have a couple of screens on my desk, and one of them is really just for sticky notes.
Mhm.
There's a couple on there right now, things I need to do over the next 2 days.
Oh, real last.
So
one,
that's
but
my final.
Is there anything you can speak on what we discussed with the sign?
Yeah, actually, Gordon,
Is
we
there- is there-
spoke about it today, there's no,
Okay, is there anything that we can talk about? I don't know.
No, it's just gonna be repaired again, but
it's
I
gotta be out now,
Is it?
vandalism. That sign was torn up. It
Is it?
wasn't hit by a car, it wasn't a
Mhm.
kid swinging
Yeah.
on it.
But was the previous time the same condition, or was it in different condition when that happened prior?
But I think this is a little worse, but
Okay,
the last time was.
is it worth exploring
6 months
moving
ago?
that sign?
Well, that would be the city,
Yeah.
that would not be
Yeah.
us.
Right,
So, yeah, the city would determine where and,
okay,
yeah, I would think that
I would
location
love
just isn't good.
I
yeah.
would love the city to put up a video camera.
Oh, honey, I'd love to see video camera all over this place in the city.
Yeah,
But I mean, I just, to some degree, I mean, we were all kids a little bit, but I never did that kind of crap when I was a kid. I was, but
That's a strong kid.
That's not cute.
That's a strong kid.
yeah, I agree. I think it's gotta be.
You know what we're talking
And
about?
camera might not be a bad idea.
Who made the artist?
A historical.
No,
marker.
No.
In front of the Johnson Brothers houses, the
a
sign
green,
that says
a green
about the scrub
historical marker.
has been knocked over.
Oh.
and
I've
the
only
entire
waited for
sign's
that for
broken.
a number of years,
Oh,
and it's only been there, it's
I
been
know.
torn down. Is
yeah.
this the third time or the second time?
Well,
Jennifer says
Jennifer said
third.
it was the third time.
So as far as the camera's concerned, the traffic light is right there. So it wouldn't be an expensive thing to do with it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yes, I am familiar with that.
We live,
Uh,
we actually have,
Yeah.
we actually
I'll
have a
check.
camera.
I highly, highly doubt
That looks
that
at Encore.
construction
and
truck
can't
has
see where
a
that sign
camera
is.
aiming that way,
Oh.
but it's possible because they have them all over our site. I can see.
Okay.
But I would really doubt it.
You know, if your lot 5 has security.
That's what I was just saying to her. I said, I'll check with them to see
That
if
would
they
be
have, I
great.
highly doubt they have anything that points that way. But I'll ask.
That'd be great.
Ask,
Okay.
Yeah, you
and
can't
if
hurt
you
that.
don't, ask if you could.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
we all, those cams don't cost a whole lot of money.
right.
But it would be good to look back toward the Johnson Brothers house, and the next time these little jerks do that, it's like, hey, we know who you are.
Yeah, you just turn it over to.
Because they're obvious, you know, we're gonna put it
That's
up,
right.
and they're probably coming back, whoever they are.
They're waiting for that to be repaired just to do it again.
Yeah, you know, regardless of whether it costs $100 or $10,000, it's like, why do you tear that?
Yeah, and then nobody sees that.
Yeah,
How would it, they could be
No.
that damaging and no one had witnessed
right.
that.
Or people have, they're nervous. But
Yeah.
It's, we're looking for logic,
You guys
like when they vandalized Central Park.
Mm-hmm,
When we
How in the
had,
world that happened with no one seen it?
mm-hmm,
Don't know.
mm-hmm.
when we had our construction trailer there, every time there was a wreck at Scott in Nebraska,
TPD would come knocking on your door.
TBD, you know, we had some great cameras, infrared, and I mean, you could walk out into the middle of that intersection, and from our trailer there, you know, we could tell you what brand of pen you had in your pocket. And Tampa PD used it on a number of occasions.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that would be a wonderful community service.
I will relay the message and see if they have anything. But I would imagine that if TPD did that while you were there, they may have already came knocking, but I haven't heard anything. We'll see.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, anything else you want to add?
I'm good.
Everybody's good? Perfect, thank you guys for attending, thank you for always being here, appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
You know, I thought you had the May one.
And we'll adjourn this meeting.
May meeting?
Done.
It's the third one.
Yeah, the chiller plant was also in 2000.
Your first meeting, your first one.
I am getting married on 7th.
Yeah, maybe make some more.
Congratulations.
It takes a little fighting to get even.
Oh, yeah, I
But
know.
we'll see.
We've been reliable otherwise. So she found a reliable partner.
I guess. I will see you guys.
Congratulations.
But yeah, just let me know. And if you guys have anything going on where you're gonna be on vacation or going someplace, you know, in the next few months or whatever, like,
Yeah, just give me a heads
just let
up.
us know, because then if we're not gonna be able to have a forum or something like that, then, like I said, we get it at summertime.
Yeah, I told her about May already. I don't think I'll.
Okay.
Then, unfortunately, that may be my first.
I was gonna
April.
say, that's the first time you're gonna be.
Well, is April not gonna
Oh,
be?
yeah, yeah.
April will be the first
Just
one.
kidding. Like I said, I get it though, it's summertime, so if you guys have something going on, just let Courtney know.
Isn't May the last meeting until,
June.
oh, June?
So we only skip July and December.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But if need be, like I said, we can work around it.
Yeah.
I told you, you remember, you kind of remind people of James Dean.
So,
Ah,
Bye, brother.
See you later.
Second person today.
Really?
Third person.
oh, I had him going earlier.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
I'm sitting
I've
here
got it
going
a few
like,
times, I'm like,
I know.
I don't see it.
I'm sitting there going like, who is that? And I just about 2 minutes.
Maybe I should do that, in session.